It's Shakesyear time! We are working on Othello, and today we get to hear from Iago again in Act 2, Scene 1. We're going to hear a lot from Iago because he talks a lot in this play. So Act 2, Scene 1 started out with a bit of a tempest. If you remember, Othello and his crew, along with his wife who's traveling with Iago, are all on their way to Cyprus so that Othello can lead a war against the Turkish army, which is about to invade Cyprus. Well, as it turns out, this storm on the sea was so bad that it pretty much destroyed the whole Turkish fleet. The ships that survived scattered and went elsewhere. So there really isn't a war that needs to be fought in Cyprus anymore, but all of the boats are still on the way there, so they kind of have to land. And Cassio is the one that got there first, and he was talking to Montano, and they mentioned Desdemona, and then Iago and Desdemona's boat gets there. They're there safely, and meantime everybody's like, I hope Othello is okay, I hope he makes it here safely. Iago spends a little bit of time entertaining Desdemona and his own wife Emilia with quips, bits of almost poetry. It starts with Desdemona saying, you know, how would you describe me if you had to praise me? How would you compliment me? So he ends up going through all these different types of women and sort of ripping on them while he's complimenting them, that kind of a thing. And she's like, well, I'm glad that you weren't actually talking about me because I'd be afraid to hear what you have to say. And she's sort of chuckling about all of this, and she brings Michael Cassio into the discussion as well. Now remember, Cassio is the one who got the job that Iago wanted, which is the whole reason that Iago hates Othello. Iago has also had the idea that he's going to plant the thought in Othello's mind that Desdemona has been sleeping with Cassio, and this is how he's going to undo them. So when she pulls Cassio into the conversation, is like, what do you think? Isn't Iago like just a crazy, silly man, whatever? Iago takes a moment and has an aside and says he takes her by the palm. Aye, well said, whisper. With as little a web as this, I will ensnare as great a fly as Cassio. I smile upon her, do, I will give thee in thine own courtship. You say true, 'tis so indeed. If such tricks as these strip you out of your lieutenantry, it had been better you had not kissed your 3 fingers so oft, which now again you are most apt to play the sir in. Very good, well kissed, an excellent curtsy, 'tis so indeed. Yet again your fingers to your lips? Would they were cluster pipes for your sake. The more I know his trumpet. So basically he's sitting there relishing in the fact that Desdemona and Cassio are having a bit of a moment. And the truth of the matter is, it's varying on your production. You can make it a completely innocent thing, or you could make it a loaded thing if you want to, but it's probably the way that I take it is, while she's talking to him, she might touch his arm or something like that, and he keeps touching his face, and all of these things which could be construed as indications of romantic interest in one another. But he's like, oh, this is great that they're already doing it without me saying anything. The fact that these interactions have happened is so perfect, because then Othello will also notice the same things. They, once they're called out on these things, will know that they've done them, however they actually intended them. They'll know that they're guilty of that kind of stuff. He's like, this is perfect. The web in which I'm gonna catch Cassio is spinning itself. I barely even have to do anything. And then a trumpet sounds in the distance, and it happens to be the trumpet on Othello's ship, so he knows that Othello has now arrived, and Othello does arrive, and we get to hear a smidgen from him when he actually comes into the scene to join the rest of the group tomorrow. I will see you then for that. Mwah.